So excited to have you join us live tonight as we kick off our SPED Homeschool Appreciation Month, or Awareness Month, actually. I'll say that again, SPED Homeschool Awareness Month. This is the month that we incorporated SPED Homeschool 2 years ago, or actually started our Facebook page. Our incorporation was in August of 2017. And so our goal is from here on out, as we continue supporting this community of special education homeschoolers, to be able to have one whole month where we share your stories. And Leilani Melendez is with us tonight to share why they chose to homeschool and how she got started. And welcome, Leilani, and thank you for being willing to share your story and give us some advice and some wisdom that you have from how you started and why you chose to homeschool.
Hi, thank you for having me. I don't know where to start. I was a public school teacher. Mm-hmm. I started in, I want to say public school, middle school specifically, 2001. I was a music teacher. I was a drama teacher, and I absolutely loved it. I was in a title, actually it was an A+ school. So it was the best of the best kids. We always joked around and said it was a platinum school. I loved it. That was my thing. And then I got pregnant. Of course, I got married first, and then I got pregnant. So, and my husband, I mean, I guess maybe I'm unlike a lot of other families. My husband actually was wanting to homeschool, and I was the one that was, I don't want to homeschool because we are at an A+ school and we can get my kids into this elementary school that's down the street that's an A+ school. And we got it made. And I got a babysitter. I don't even want to call her a babysitter. So I had my first child, got a babysitter, and she watched him. She was amazing. And she was like, we should homeschool. I'm like, no, I'm not going to homeschool. I have a really good job. And she was great with the kids, but then I started missing him and not seeing his milestones and that whole other thing. And then I felt, I started feeling empty when I saw achievements with my students. I kind of felt empty. And then I got pregnant with my second right after. And it was funny because I was eyeballing the other school. We actually did some stuff because we were right next to each other. So we would go over to the elementary school and we would do some activities together, and I would watch the kids, and I kept thinking in my head, I don't know if I want my kid around these kids because I'm a believer and they're just kind of doing things that I don't know if I really agree with, and the way the teachers were treating the kids, and just little things that I was noticing. I was pregnant with my second, so I was a little sensitive. But I think the tipping point, well, my two sister-in-laws were homeschooling. Oh, really? And we would get together and they would be looking through homeschool curriculum, and I'm like, I'm not going to homeschool, and they were like, yeah, we homeschool. So it started rubbing off on me, and then I think the tipping point was, I think it was 8 months pregnant, 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I was walking down the hall, and there was actually, ironically, it was the special education teacher. If I'm not mistaken, she was on leave, or she was out for a long, extended period of time. And there was a kid from her class with autism, and he was wandering the halls. And it happened all the time when she was gone. And it really bothered me. His mom was a teacher, and it really bothered me. And I talked to him, and the way he talked, it was very, the language that he used wasn't appropriate for middle school to be speaking. And I remember leaving him and thinking how he didn't have supervision, and that bothered me. And then I think it was like I took care of that. I made sure he got to where he needed to get. And then I saw some other kids talking down the hall, and I just remember, like, the Lord was like, yeah, you're homeschooling. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I think I told my husband, and he was like, well, finally. So that's kind of what happened to me. And then that's when I started doing research, and I actually decided to resign that year. And so I had my son, and so I had my son, and that was in September, so it was very early. So I took the leave, and then I went ahead and finished the school year out. I had someone watch the kids. I hate to say it, but another tipping point was the fact that babysitting and childcare was going up in cost. So I needed to resign to take care of that too.
Well, finance is playing a big part in a lot of people's reasons to homeschool, because it is expensive, especially if you want a private or customized education. Homeschooling is a great alternative that is less expensive because, well, we work for free.
Yeah. And I think I would basically, be working and all the money would go into the daycare. So I resigned. I had a friend who did watch the kids through the rest of the year, and I just remember resigning. And then I went to the homeschool convention, and somehow my sister-in-law was working for a co-op called Classworth. So they're awesome. I'm going to do a shout out. Yay. They're awesome. I went ahead and interviewed with them, and they hired me on as a science teacher. And I also, I did do a little part-time with Title I private schools, because I had a hard time pulling away from that, because I love teaching. But then as my son got older, and then I got pregnant again, and then I was like, I'll do class course, and that's about it. And so I resigned from the private school doing the Title I. And then I got pregnant again. And then we were kind of just in a roll. And then, of course, the third one, if they don't know, the third one was diagnosed with Down syndrome. And so then that just kind of opened up a whole nother avenue.
Right.
A whole nother world.
Yeah, definitely. It just as, your journey, it's interesting that God nudged you, he didn't just like shove you.
He didn't smack me upside the head.
Right. But I was one of those that said I would never homeschool. My husband wanted me to do it also. It took a big turning point for our family as well. And I think that is it. We have to definitely know that this is our calling. And because it does take a lot of work, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think at first it was a lot of pride, like, I'm a teacher, I can do this, But then I always joke around and say that homeschooling my kids is 10 times harder than homeschooling strangers, or actually schooling strangers, even if there's 20 of them. And my classroom, at one point, I had 50 kids in a class at one time.
Wow.
But that was music, so.
Okay. So
I don't think it counted. I didn't have to grade papers. I just had to do crowd control.
There basically isn't that many.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's harder, even with the Title I. When I was tutoring math and math and English. And even then it was easier than it was doing my own kids, because I think I care too much.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah.
You do. It involves your heart when you homeschool. And I think, that's an important point to make for people who are sitting on the fence and going, well, on top of it, can I do this? But there's something about your love for your child that pushes you.
Yeah.
More.
You can do it, especially when you love your child.
Yeah. Well, you know them so well. So,
yeah.
And again, like you said, it makes it harder too, because you know them so well, but they also know you so well.
Yeah, but it brings that family bond together. I also do, in Florida, one of the homeschool requirements is you have to be, once a year, you have to do an evaluation with a teacher. And I decided to do that too. So I do that a lot. And I do a lot of special needs families, actually. And I've seen some beautiful, one of them, there was a kid, I think he had cerebral palsy, but he was confined to a wheelchair. He was mute, and he was a teenager. And his mom, all she did, she took care of his needs, but she would read to him every single night. They would spend an hour or two just reading and reading and reading. I'm like, you don't get that in public school.
No. And the special ed classes, they kind of get put in that classroom, and they get stuff pushed at them that yeah, it's not individualized, and it's whether they get anything out of it or not. A lot of times it's just glorified daycare through the day for, especially with kids with extreme needs. Unfortunately, that's the case. And if they're quiet and don't make a fuss, then unfortunately that's we've seen some great families, homeschool kids that are on the very profound end of the spectrum. Actually, my siblings, I have 10 adopted siblings, all with special needs, and the first 5 had profound issues, and so my parents chose to homeschool as well. But yeah, so you're in Florida, and and I wanted to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring up that that graphic. Let's see if I can get a configuration here. Takes a little while. Maybe there we go. So your YouTube channel is Living with Eve. Why is it called that? And then what do you feature on your channel?
Okay, so I'll try to be short with the Living with Eve. So one of our rules is that our kids it was my rule. I wanted to name them after Bible characters because I wanted to honor God. And so I have Isaac, and then I have Ethan, and then I have Hannah, and I think names are really important. And I was praying really hard. Hannah came really fast to the name. Like I knew she was Hannah before she was even conceived. And, Isaac and Ethan we fought over a little bit. But Naomi is her name, actually. I wanted Eve, and my husband wanted Eva. And I didn't want Eva because it sounded like evil.
Oh, no. Well, you have to live with this as much as she does, so yes.
I know. I was so bad. So I don't know. I just prayed a lot, and I had a list of like 5 names, and I just felt like the Lord was like, you have to meet her first before you name her.
Aww.
So I went into the hospital, and we gave birth, obviously, and I couldn't name her for the first day. I just had a list of names staring, but I wanted Eve in her name because it meant life. And I felt like through my entire pregnancy, because I got very ill at the beginning of the pregnancy, and I was worried for her life. And I'll be honest, we didn't even know she had Down syndrome until she was born.
Oh, really?
So we were in that camp, yeah. And well, they had the positive test. They did that test. I don't remember what it's called, and it came back positive. But then they did the ultrasound, and then they just measured all the measurements and checked the heart, and they didn't see anything. And they said, yeah, it's a false positive. She's fine. So we went with that. But then when she was born, we, of course, I was like, she's Down syndrome. I kind of looked at her, and I looked at my husband, and I said, honey, she's Down. And he goes, no, she doesn't. I guess she does. That discussion. But anyway, so my friend came in, and we sat, and I was going through names, and we came up with Naomi Eve. So anyway, okay, so why we named it Living with Eve? So the name Eve to me means life, and Naomi brings life. Naomi means, I don't remember what it means. It means beautiful. That's what it was. It meant beautiful life. That's what the tipping point for the name. We came up with it at least 24 hours after she was born. Anyway, so Living with Eve. So Eve means life. She brings life to our family. And it has this whole idea of the Garden of Eden, that we're all sinners and we're not perfect, and we're trusting the Lord with our life. And I love apples. One of my favorite food. A lot of people, I'm actually, it means a lot, apples do, because I'm kind of a vegan, and I do a lot of fruitarian stuff. So that to me was kind of cool. That was a little personal information. So yeah, that's kind of the meaning behind it. And we're growing up, and we're going, and I like the YouTube channel because, well, it's a creative outlet for me. And my dad was the one pushing me for years to do it, because he knows my personality. When the Lord wants me to do something, somebody's always pushing me to do it. And I'm always saying, no.
My son pushed me to do this, so just wait till your kids get old enough to do that.
Not yet. So my dad pushed me into it, and I'm glad he did, because when I did it, I kind of took off. I fell in love with it. everything about it is who I am. I love the drama, the putting things together. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional editor, which is not a popular career. So I like the editing. I mean, it is popular, but it's. I think when people talk about YouTube, they say the boringest part is the editing, and I find joy out of it because I see a snapshot of my children, and I see things from their perspective, and I feel like I can change the way I interact with them to suit more of their needs.
Right. So, yeah, it's interesting when you watch yourself, on a video. You learn so much about. I usually watch these the next day after and edit them out, and so yeah, I learn that I say a lot, and I used to laugh way too much, and yeah, so you just learn those things, you grow with them, and I think I was interviewed by a lady that was beta testing. I was beta testing the software, and she's like, "How did you get comfortable on camera?" I said, "You just do it, and the more you do it, the more you get comfortable." And I think that's really with anything with life, and with your channel, with homeschooling. I'm sure even as an experienced teacher, and I've heard this from other teachers, that going into homeschooling was still like going in cold turkey. It wasn't something that just made sense to translate from what you had done in the classroom. It's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially since there's no benchmarks. I mean, in a sense, there's no grade. I know in Florida, the superintendent's not allowed to give anybody a grade level. I don't know what it is in other states, but that's a big deal in Florida. The unschooling movement is, I think it's beautiful. It's a new thing for me. Even now I'm starting to learn about it. I think we do a little unschooling, but then also, the classical and the traditional and the eclectic, like all these different techniques. Yeah.
And your kids are younger still, so I'm sure, you do a lot of things together as a family.
Just kind of do family stuff and I try to make learning fun for them. And I don't think about the benchmarks. I just think about what they're interested in, and I just kind of shift through curriculum to see what they like. And
so what are some of your favorite curriculums? And I know you feature some on your YouTube channel as well.
And I want to do some more reviews like that too in the future. But I love Truth Quest. That's one of them. I think that is a more Charlotte Mason approach, where you read and you do I feel like it's so flexible. We can read a book, like we're doing I think we've been doing the Civil War for 6 months. And, but it's good.
It took a little while.
It's so cool because we're learning about the Underground Railroad and all the people, because it makes the people from history come to life. We went to some Civil War reenactments. We've watched a lot of YouTube videos on it. We've talked to friends that are historians. We even went to a Confederate memorial in Tampa. I didn't know that. They had
building different multi-sensory things, experiences.
We went to
all that information.
Yeah, and that's one that I like. It's Charlotte Mason, and then on the other end, I love IEW, which is classical.
I had an hour and a half car ride with Andrew Pudowa this week. So he was my driver from the convention. Everybody was like, "You got to sit with him for an hour and a half." I had him all to myself.
Awesome. My son at the homeschool convention in May walked up to him and just started staring at him because we do the phonics Zoom. And he's like, "I hear your voice every day." He was like starstruck. Like, oh, I'm embarrassed, but I hope it blessed him,
Oh, he's so used to that. Yes. Yeah. I heard at one convention, there was all these women that showed up with t-shirts with his face on them. And they took selfies with him. He's such a humble man. He's wonderful. So, but I think,
I love IEW. I'm trying to think. We used, I can't think of any, the Well-Trained Mind. I used that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. That was another teacher at Class Source actually turned me onto that. And I fell in love with it. I love the diagramming. And I do piano. I teach my kids all piano. Maybe that's music background in me, but I feel like that's one thing I love about homeschooling, because I can decide what my core curriculum is. So I just decided,
Yeah. Well, and I told parents this, I was speaking at a conference last weekend, and I said, there are some non-core things that you're going to teach. And it does depend a lot on what you value in your home. And that's okay that you push those things that you value. It's in every family, it's going to be different. But, if you value music education, that's going to become almost like a core subject in your house. And
it is.
You choose
and chores, that's a core curriculum.
Yes, exactly.
How to make your bed 101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we lived on a farm. Our kids got to go out and clean up barn stalls and all those things. So yes, important lessons, definitely.
Yeah. So music, they all learn piano. That's if we don't do anything for a day, they do piano. So, and then we do dabble in Florida virtual school, which is through the public school system, but we only do Spanish.
Okay.
And the only reason I've tried several Spanish curriculums, and that's the only one that we have been successful at. And I think the main reason is because I don't speak Spanish.
Yes. Yeah, and the language is really tough to teach when you don't know it. I ended up sourcing out a tutor for my daughter because she's in her she'll be starting her third year of French. And I don't know. I just can't figure out French. I can't figure out most languages. So I was very happy to hire a graduated homeschool student who loves French and kind of passes that passion on to my daughter as well. So, that I think, as you've homeschooled, now how many years?
He's going into 4th grade, the oldest.
Okay. So yeah.
5 years technically, but not really because we started before that.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, most people do migrate to that eclectic, mix and match homeschool approach. They don't stick with just one curriculum, either online or in a book, because they find that, like you found, there are certain things that either you don't want to teach or that would be easier to do if somebody else taught it and you find a different way. And I think that's really good to point out to parents too, is, we often think that we have to have it all figured out before we start. And you're not. You're just not going to have it figured out. You just start somewhere. And so what advice do you have for somebody who may be sitting on the fence and saying, should I homeschool or not? And, what if my child has extreme needs? Because now your youngest is pretty young. So, you still have a long way to go with homeschooling all the needs that she's going to experience. So how are you going to approach that? And what advice do you have for parents on, thinking forward about different needs?
Okay, that's a lot of, let me think where to start. Well, my first thing is, if you're feeling like you should homeschool, try it for 1 year. Just take a year at a time or a month at a time. And as one parent used to tell me, you're not going to screw up your kid in 1 year.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Probably do something better.
We found some people that, even had like family traumas and ended up not doing school, because mom was in the hospital. And still, when they were required to do their testing, the kids had increased in their skills.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
Totally true.
The bond that you have with your child after homeschooling, usually people don't go back. So I would say just try it. If you're worried about curriculum, I mean, there's virtual school. I don't know if every state has virtual school. But
most do, but they require full use of the virtual school.
Okay.
And so it's like a public school in your home, and it's really not a good fit. But if you have the a la carte version where you can pick like that, it does tend to work better, especially for electives.
But there's also, Easy Peasy, I think, is one online that's for free. That's a really good one. And there's some free stuff. There's message boards, there's Facebook groups, there's YouTube channels that are there to support you. And all of those people usually are very supportive, will jump in, give you some advice. And,
and definitely just, asking when you have questions. People are so wanting to help, because they've been where you were at, and they know what it's like.
Yeah, and that's one reason that's why I have the YouTube channel, because I'm documenting our process to show people where we're going and the choices that we make, and of course, like tips and tricks here and there. But so that's one purpose of our channel is to just encourage people that they can do it. It's not going to be perfect, but you are building that family. It's just that family, that bond. I'm trying to think of the word.
Yes, it is. It's a bonding experience that you cannot replicate any other way, especially when your kids, if they go to school, they don't have that time together. And, my boys fought a lot when they were young, but they're each other's best friends now at 22 and 20. They want to spend time with each other. But they work through those difficult times together. And for most people who have kids, they're usually polar opposites. So we're working a lot of some good social skills too, because they're learning how to get along with people that are not like them at all. And they're stuck in the same house together. So,
and I think my kids are more social than most kids. I mean, we're part of 2 different co-ops. And of course, we go to our services, and I mean, they're around kids all the time, and we go places with people.
Yes.
You just have to work harder. So
yeah, you just plan those things out, and it's usually around their interests. So, or just community activities that other homeschoolers are doing, and so you definitely get to pick and choose how they're going to socialize and what they're going to socialize about. And it makes it more meaningful instead of just sticking them in a group of kids and saying, socialize. That's just not how, when we go somewhere with a purpose.
Right.
And when we have conversations about the things that we went there for, it's not like we just get shoved into a group of unknown people and we're expected to just converse.
Right.
And yet we require that of kids all the time. Definitely.
Yeah. You have the second half of the question.
That's okay. We're going to take a break because I have an ad for our sponsor. And then when we come back, I'll remember the second half of that question. So, all right, everyone. I am excited to introduce you to something we have new, and that's a sponsorship. And this episode is sponsored by Bookshark. And so I'm going to put up some of their images for you and just share one mom's experience with Bookshark and why she is so excited about it. So hang on with me. Well, Bookshark Homeschool Curriculum is a literature-based 4-day and faith-neutral curriculum. You can find it at bookshark.com. And Kim McNeary, a busy homeschool mom, says that my daughter's on the spectrum as well as has OCD and has instantly taken to this curriculum. It's incredibly structured, which makes us both ecstatic. The books are great and the kids are awesome too. I'm running my daughter to all kinds of appointments and this curriculum fits in amazingly. We're first-year Bookshark customers and happy as a lark. Kim is right. Bookshark's fully planned 4-day homeschool curriculum flexes to match your busy lifestyle. The detailed instructor's guide lays everything out so clearly that you are prepared to teach in mere minutes each day. Open your guide, gather your resources, which are all included in your package, and go. Curriculum for ages 4 through 16 are available in all subject packages or by individual academic areas. Reading with history, language arts, science, and math. With Bookshark's literature-rich program, your children will read or have them read or you can read to them 35 to 50 engaging books each year. Visit bookshark.com and browse their curriculum. You can download samples or request a catalog. So we just want to thank Bookshark for being our sponsor. And we're just excited that we're able to feature some of our partner organizations as sponsors now on our broadcast. So thank you, Bookshark. And we're going to bring Leilani back and we're going to continue this discussion. So we're with Leilani Melendez, and she is a homeschool mom who runs a YouTube channel called Living with Eve. And you've got lots of great content on your I was looking at curriculum reviews, just everyday life, whether homeschooling or again, just feeding your kids, and different activities you do in your homeschool as well, and lots of fun stuff. So your kids seem to like being on video. So
yes. They're hams. They take after their mom.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Those are experiences, especially we talk about ways that we're preparing our children for careers that don't even exist yet. And as we get into this very much video age, exposing our children on how to be comfortable in front of people, how to articulate what they want to get across, and to do it visually. Yeah. Because we are becoming a more visual society. I think it's an advantage. I actually ran across a curriculum developer that is just new on the market this year at the conference I was at this last weekend, that they're going to walk kids through how to produce a video through camera angles. And it's written by a guy who's a producer as well as an actor. And so those types of things are going to be more, I think, coming into the homeschool market, because we're seeing them in the schools already. And they're skills that our students need, and are going to need even more. Yeah, no, I agree. I know we still have to protect our kids, and yes, I think that's been the hardest thing. Point. Yeah, but I mean, I have control over what the audience sees, and I hate saying this, but it feels like they're walking down the street because there's so many things out there to view. Does that make sense? Yeah. I haven't really been afraid of putting myself out there and our kids, because our goal is not, my goal is not to become viral and, be one of those, like, if we do, okay, we'll deal with it then. But right now, I want to reach those moms that are struggling at home. I want to bring them joy. I want them to laugh. I even had one husband. It was a husband, and his wife was terrified to get pregnant after the age of 35. And he's a friend of mine, and he was just watching the videos just kind of because he felt like it. He's actually my son's art teacher at the co-op. And he made a comment that, it was kind of comforting to his wife to see a girl with Down syndrome not seem weird, if that makes sense. For people that aren't in the special needs community, it seems like such a bridge or such a difficult transition. But the more you're real about it, and definitely you are on your channel, the more everyday real life normal we can show our lives are. Yes, we have certain things that we deal with that other people don't. When we have a child that struggles in certain areas or has a diagnosis. But that doesn't mean that the joy that comes with that and everything else in life isn't there as well. It makes life more interesting. Yes, definitely. I remember in the hospital, because when you find out your child has Down syndrome and you're in the hospital after labor and you've already got all that post-pregnancy stuff going on, I just remember I was crying. I'm like, she makes my family more colorful. And the nurse was like, oh my gosh. Every time I said that was my thing that I kept repeating. But it's true, because she makes our life more colorful. That's wonderful. Yeah. No. Such a good way to look at it. Yeah. And it was funny. My daughter we were at the pool yesterday, and this little boy comes up and he got really close to her, and the mom's like, oh, I'm sorry. He has autism. And I'm like, she's okay with that. I didn't do that too. She expected me to say that. I was like, she whacks people on the shoulder all the time. If we're like, because we go to Disney a lot. And we're close, right? Yeah, we're kind of close. It's 45 minutes away, and we passes, but we get around people. She'll start smacking them on the shoulder, and she'll go up to she can't walk yet, but if I'm holding her, she'll try to reach out and hug a stranger. I'm like, no, not now. Yeah. And then I apologize. I'm sorry, but I know you're right. I shouldn't apologize because people understand. Yeah. Yeah. Just and too, I think people are becoming more understanding, more aware of, that I was on a plane the other day, and there was a girl in front of me that I'm pretty certain was on the autism spectrum. Every once in a while she'd let out a scream, and everybody around us was very tolerant of her just, outbursts every once in a while, and Dad, couldn't do anything to stop it, and everybody knew that, and so it was neat to see how it was handled by the whole community on the plane. So yes, Definitely. Well, we don't keep people with certain diagnoses and needs isolated anymore. And that has really helped our families to be able to come out of isolation as well. I think in the past it's been harder because we still have a long way to go. But yes, definitely.
Yeah, she's definitely not in isolation.
Yes.
She comes with me everywhere.
Good.
And I mean, people call her their little angel, and we go to places, and if there's a crowd, I put her on the floor. She'll scoot around and say hi to everybody.
Oh.
And makes me nervous. But I do know a lot of families that have kept their kids at home and not really socialize, just because it's easier. And I mean, I understand family life is, but at the same time, it's like, come out and hang out with us. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Come hang.
The situation you expose her to, the more comfortable she's going to be in those. And she's going to learn more lessons because you're exposing her to more situations where you can make those comments. Well, maybe we shouldn't touch that person, or, and so it isn't like it happens so infrequently. If you allow it to happen enough, those are just lessons that, like just with our typical kids, we have the same things. And so, yeah, it's just exposure and doing it over and over again. Yeah. So the question I had for you earlier, that was the second part, was, as you're looking now to continue homeschooling with your youngest, and maybe the potential of, different learning issues that come with Down syndrome, which often do, just delays and things like that. What are you doing to prepare for that, or thinking ahead, or just, this is the way we do it, and then we're just going to kind of figure it out as we go along?
I'm doing some preparing. In Florida, we have this amazing scholarship that you can, you know what it is?
Yep.
The Gardner Scholarship. It's $10,000 of supplies. So I don't, with knowing that now there's a waiting list, but I know eventually she'll get on. But knowing that that's there, that brings some comfort, so I don't have to penny pinch with her. I have a special medical program for her because she did have open heart surgery, and I think that placed her in, kids that need extra support financially with medical bills. Yes. And so state of Florida is really, really nice to us. So we get that, and then so that comes with OT and PT and speech.
That's incredible, because there's so many homeschool parents that really just scramble to try to get those services.
And so that's why that's another thing I do with my YouTube videos. If there's something that works for us that our speech therapist or PT gives us, I try to put that on there. I've already gotten feedback, that they use it for their child. So you can find anything on YouTube. Yeah. So we have that, and I listen to them. I also have an intervention specialist because they have another program down here. It's called Early Steps, and then we transition into Child Find, and then it transitions into the public school. But I believe Step Up for Kids takes on the Gardner Scholarship. I don't know all of it yet. So I'm just trying to learn. I've gone to a convention that has all those organizations there that can kind of help. It's very overwhelming. I know there's some disability funds. I'm just trying to learn and pick people's brains so I can figure it all out and hopefully do the right thing and take advantage of what the community has to offer and the government stuff has to offer, because I mean, OT and PT, all that, we have some amazing therapists, and her OT is leaving. I'm so sad.
Oh, yeah. I always tell people, when I talk to them, it's like you make your team, because these are the people that support when you're homeschooling a child who has different needs. You do need a team behind you, because for various reasons. And we have, one of the most important members of our team is my mother-in-law. Because when I have to run my kids to the doctor and therapy, she's always here at least once a week watching the boys and Hannah, and she's on top of, she does the
clean the bedroom 101.
Uh-huh.
Mop the floors. And she does. I come home to a house that's clean. And so I really don't think I'd be able to do what I do without her.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to thank her.
You'll find a way.
Yeah. She's awesome. I know a lot of people don't have that opportunity,
Right.
but I know, like congregations out there, have some support. And then of course our team, my husband is a paramedic. His hours are very odd. So he only works 4 days a week, 3 days a week, but he does pick up overtime, sometimes overnight. So he's home all day Friday and all day Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes Wednesday. Oh. So yeah, and he'll homeschool. And so we kind of do it as a team.
Yeah. And it's good to look at it that way, because I think us homeschool moms sometimes lead towards burnout because we try to do it all on our own instead of trying to outsource some things, which we need to consider. What can we outsource, and who's willing to help us do that?
And you have to put away your pride. Because sometimes I could do this on my own. No, I can't.
Exactly.
I even had people from our congregation help out too. So
that's great. Yes, and there's other activities that you do, with church groups or
co-ops.
Co-ops. Yeah, my daughter with youth group. I'm like, the leaders in the youth group are doing so much to build up her faith that I just supplement on the side. I do biblical. I'm doing a Bible study with all her leaders, so I hear how she's doing, and it's good at that age, anyways, to have people from the outside speaking into her life. Sometimes more than mom too, and just agreeing with mom. But you made a good point about seeking out what's available in your local vicinity, as far as especially in the special needs community, and what's available from your state. And that is very specific to states. Disability laws, as far as the ADA covers the nation, but as far as funding goes, that is a state by state thing, just like the education laws. And so having to tap into your local, either the ARC or any other. I saw you did you went to a convention for a special needs convention, and I'm sure you got a lot of resources there too.
Yes, and actually we got a scholarship to go, so we didn't have to pay anything.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm always looking for that. It's out there, and if nobody uses it, then it just goes back into the big pot of. So we're going to use it. And it was an awesome conference, and the kids were able, I met a lot of new people. I met some amazing people. It just opened my eyes to a lot of things out there. And I think even just now having a daughter with special needs and being a part of the community, it's just softened my heart a lot. Because honestly, one of my biggest fears was having a child with special needs. And when I got pregnant at 40, or I was 38 when I got pregnant, that was one thing I was kind of worried about. But now I see they're just people like everybody else, and they're just different.
Well, and I think sometimes we as homeschoolers think that they are going to not accept us because we're making a different educational choice than a lot of people who have kids with special needs. I found it to be completely opposite when I start approaching different organizations. They're like, oh, how can we get in to help? They just want us to be willing to be open to what they have to offer, and also to just be willing to teach them what we do that's different, because they do want to learn.
Yeah, I find that.
Yeah. So for those of you that are watching, if you have comments or questions, I forgot to tell you at the beginning that you can make those in the feed, and we will actually see them. But so from when you started to now, are you feeling more comfortable, or you still got lots of questions?
I don't think we ever stop learning.
I know. Yeah.
I think I have more questions. I I think in the beginning, I thought I knew how to do it. And then now I think I have a lot to learn. And I think just having a teachable heart and learning from others and just not trying to be a know-it-all because I don't know everything. And just kind of being a sponge.
Yeah.
And being willing to adjust. I mean, I had somebody say something to me that was critical but true. And I had to take that in. And that was hard because I had nightmares about it.
Oh, no.
But they were right, and it was something I needed to change. And I'm in the process of taking care of that and working on it with a lot of prayer. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have to have grace
there's always
for ourselves. Yes, and just know that we always have something more to learn.
Yeah,
we never get arrived. Well, Paul was very good at saying that. I've only just begun my journey, and yes, we. And
there's a lot of curriculum out there. That was the other thing that I know parents say when they first walk into homeschooling is that they're overwhelmed by the curriculum, especially at the conventions.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just look at it as a bunch of people trying to sell their curriculum. I don't know. I just kind of sift through stuff.
Right. Yeah. I always tell people too to look at the free stuff from each of them. If you think, well, these are different options, they have free samples on their websites. Bookshark. I just read their ad, and they said check them out. They've got all these things so you can interact with them more so than just even getting your hands on them at a book fair or a convention. You can actually use them with your students and see how you interact as a teacher with them as well.
Yeah. And Bookshark, I know every single person that I've done evaluation for that's done Bookshark, love it. Love it. So
good plug. Way after I was done homeschooling my kids on the early end. So this will be our 18th year this next year. So we've been at it for a while. But we've got a comment from Rosemary.
Hi.
This is very informative. Thank you. So thanks for joining us, Rosemary.
That's my stepmom. Hi.
Very cool.
I'm sure my dad's sitting there watching it too, of course.
But yeah, that's a good point with the curriculum now. It is overwhelming to the point of, but yet we often look at curriculum only from the point of view of our child. But when I even watched you do your review of what is it, Truth Quest that you use, and so you're looking at it from your perspective too. What time investment do I have? What flexibility does it give me? Taking the Civil War unit and stretching it out. Some curriculum doesn't allow you to pace the way. Sometimes you just have to stay in a subject long because there's so much good stuff that your kids are gleaning from it, and it's not time to leave yet.
And they like it. That was the other thing. They like it. Yeah.
Right.
And I try to have my kids give me a lot of feedback on what they like and what they don't like. And so I kind of, especially with I know science, last year my son was wanting to do human body kind of stuff. And so we did, simple things like that. And next year we're going to do some astronomy. I'm actually teaching that at the co-op. And he's in my class.
Cool.
And we played around with robotics, and my dad actually helped me get started with the robotics, and that's really fun. So I let my kids kind of guide what they like. I know my son now, he wants to be an architect or an urban planner, and so now I'm just trying to shift through and look, what do architects need for some skills? Like what skills they need, what do we need to kind of work on? And I'm not forcing him to be an architect, but if he likes it, he likes it. If he doesn't, I'm not, at least he knows what is expected.
Yeah, you get them started early on, and then they either say, oh, I want to pursue this more, and, or, oh, I think we need to change tracks.
Yeah.
I did mechanical engineering in 5th grade with my oldest because it was something he was interested in. And now he's in college going into engineering. So it was a good fit. But really the more, and then my middle child tried everything and never liked anything. So, but we know we tried it all.
And with Naomi, like I know as she gets older, she's gonna, since I've been kind of like just relaxed with my other kids, I think with her as she gets older, what she wants to do, I'm just gonna try to follow her lead and just support her as she goes, but make sure when I support her, I'm giving her a good foundation. That's my goal. If she wants to be, because now I wonder if she's going to be a musician. Oh. She just plays. She said she'll pull herself on that piano bench and start playing piano.
Oh.
And smile. And the other day she found a drum and started banging on it and trying to make rhythm and trying to get everybody's attention. And she likes to be front and center. So I'll just kind of see where that goes.
Exactly. Yeah. That really is a good point. Is you become a student of your children. And you can just follow them wherever that takes you. And each year, I'm sure you kind of tweak and change what you're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
What you find out about them.
Yeah. And it's okay to quit curriculum in the middle of the year.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and switch over. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not worth driving yourself crazy or your children crazy because we've got to stick this out. We bought this and we've got to finish it. Yeah. You just know.
And with the special needs students, like I said, that one that I did the evaluation, all they did was read books. And they did OT and PT, and he had an iPad with apps, and if he wanted something, he would point to the apps and he would do stuff on the iPad, but they read books. And that was their curriculum. Right. And it was awesome because, I mean, I don't know how long he had to live, but they were able to spend time as a family instead of trying to press that math and press that, all those academic standards on them.
Right. So. Yeah. It comes back to where do we put our highest value? And homeschooling does allow us to put those values to the top. And everything else sifts down underneath where it should be. And relationships are one, and teaching basic communication skills, if anything, working on those basic skills, especially with children that struggle or who may be dependent for the rest of their lives. But if they can communicate with us, if they can tell us, just what they need, and it just makes their life much more meaningful instead of just being there. I had two siblings actually three. My adopted siblings are all bedbound, tube fed, had very mild abilities to communicate. My one sister could only communicate through eye glazing, and just looking yes or no. But once we understood her, it opened up an opportunity for her to express who she was. And really that was God's desire, most of all for her life, was just to be understood. So, that it's great that, you're going into this next phase of homeschooling, with having some footing underneath you with your typical kids. And it just seems like you're excited about the opportunity now with your youngest to be able to launch into this, and just how much you're going to learn. And how much you have to share and how much she has to share with the world on your channel as you keep going.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a ride. It's a roller coaster.
Yes, exactly. You just hold your hands up for the...
But it's fun. I'd do it again.
As we finish up, do you have any words of encouragement for parents? Just as they're kind of going through, maybe they're struggling with, how are we going to do another year? How are we going to even approach this?
Just keep going. Just keep swimming. I'll take it from George. Just keep swimming.
Yes.
Sometimes, that's what you have to do. You just keep swimming and pray and keep swimming and pray. And then one day,
you're going to look back and say it was worth all the waves and the strokes.
And
all of that.
And all the pressure and what people say, that doesn't matter. What matters is what the Lord is speaking to you in your heart and your children, and what you see is happening in their lives.
Definitely.
And what your family is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't compare ourselves to anyone else, and we can't compare our children to other people's children. I was talking to somebody this last week, and I said, those stories of those kids that that graduate at 14 from college and homeschool, and they go on. I said, those stories are so defeating when you have a child that struggles. We need to share more of our stories, and that's why we're doing this month. Is that there are kids that succeed in homeschooling that may not graduate from even our homes ever, but they're still a success. And we've got to make sure that people know about that. And that, as a parent and what we're called to do to raise up our child in the way they should go, that's what we should determine our success on. And well, thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing some wisdom. And I want to put up again your YouTube site. So we've been talking about why Leilani and her family choose to homeschool and how they get started. And she has a YouTube channel called Living with Eve. So definitely check that out on YouTube. You can just put it up in the search bar. You'll find her. And you have a new logo. We were talking about this from last week. Did that just pop up this week?
Say that again?
Your logo? Is that?
So we have a new logo. I'm working on a new banner. I'm going to get that. There's just a lot to do. And I'm working with some people to help me on a mission statement. I'm going full blown, going at it because it's fun, and I believe in what we're doing, and I have some dreams and goals and all that fun stuff. So we have a new logo.
Great. Yeah, and we were hoping to get you on as a partner as soon as you got all that figured out. And definitely, I'd love to get you on also as a consultant, because it sounds like you work with homeschoolers in Florida, and we're trying to build out our consultant base as well. So. So we'll talk later about that. Okay. But so we want to thank Bookshark for sponsoring this episode, and just for being a partner with us here at SPED Homeschool as well. And so check out their website at bookshark.com. And next week we're going to continue this. Actually, all of our blogs this month are from our community. They're guest blogs from just people who homeschool children with special needs, and their stories, and their unique stories. They're wonderful. So our broadcasts are going to be the same too. And next week we have a mom, and I've got to look up her information here. I know I've got it on. Here we go. It's Amanda Holloway, and she's a homeschool mom and business CEO, and homeschooling was not, again, her first choice, just like we talked about, but unfortunately it was a very difficult reason that when the school that led them to homeschooling, and it was kind of a must situation. So our broadcast next week is called When Circumstances Dictate That You Must Homeschool, and she's going to talk about just the experience they went through that led them to homeschooling, but also just the freedom her son has found in being homeschooled. And she's even commented within our support group just what a different child he is now that he has come out of his shell. And so I'm excited for her to share her story with us next week. But thank you, Leilani. We appreciate you, and just keep sharing your story and your experiences, because it was very encouraging to parents who can see that we're real. We live lives that aren't perfect, and that's okay, because what matters most is that we're making an impact on our children's lives, and that's what you're doing, definitely. And you're encouraging others to do the same. So so I applaud you for that, and just thank you for sharing your story. So so let's keep the conversation going, everybody. If you aren't part of our support group on Facebook, definitely join that. We talk about this stuff all week long. So, but otherwise, we'll see you back here again next Tuesday night, and we'll be talking more with our community as we continue the SPED Homeschool Awareness Month. So, thanks everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye.